All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the 306 Fantasy Football Podcast. I guess, first of all, Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope you enjoyed some nice quality time with your family and friends. And I guess we're itching closer to the turning of the calendar and to another year into 2024, I guess. And as we wave goodbye to 2023, but it's just Arm and I here today on the pod, and we are going to be recording episode 110 for our Wednesday, December 27th episode. We're actually recording on the morning of the 27th. It's kind of nice. This, holiday morning, you can sip and have some coffee and talk fantasy. It's kind of nice. If this was the normal schedule, I wouldn't be too upset about this, but I am a little bit upset, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Not necessarily about recording in the morning, but fantasy football. We will we'll tread lightly there, but anyhow, we'll talk, I guess, a little bit about our fantasy season in this question. We'll do some preparation for fantasy championships. If you guys at home are listening, you're in your fantasy championships, we want to make sure you're ready to rock. And then I guess we'll prepare ourselves for a little bit of the what to expect, I guess, next week, and as we tread down from the fantasy season into NFL playoffs, and then obviously the off season as well too. But regardless, we'll say hello to Armin. We'll get things going, and then we'll let the episode play out, I guess. Armin, how's Christmas break treating you so far?
Oh, it's been fantastic. Like you said, getting to sip coffee while we record the pod here. I could get a little used to this. So you hear that, everyone? Get those listens in. Make sure you like and subscribe. Get us pumping. Make us viral, so that we can quit our day job and just record fantasy football advice all day long every
Oh
day.
man. So
But
one of my favorite podcasts is the Fantasy Footballers. Like that was one of my go-to like listens. And like they have their own office and they have their own headquarters and stuff. I was like, man, like those guys are living the dream. Those guys are living the dream.
yeah,
If we won the lottery, Armin, I'll buy an office here in Prince Albert. We'll make Zach move to PA. We'll have day jobs. We
yeah.
won't have day jobs because this will be our day job. But I mean, we just got to keep buying a lot of lottery tickets to make that happen.
I keep making smart bets on our apps here and
Yeah, there we go. Thanks,
well
365.
on football. Yeah. Also, I was gonna say, George, I think I've reached my full adult form here. The gift I was most excited to open this Christmas was a pair of smart wool socks.
Hey, there
Oh,
we
they're
go.
so yeah,
That's how we know.
yeah, socks, man, socks.
I was laughing with my wife. I said, you're getting old when I'm asking for socks and underwear for Christmas, and then when there's socks and underwear in underneath the tree, you're excited. That's how you know you're getting peak adulthood right there.
Yeah. Have
Oh,
you ever had smart wool socks, Jordan? You
I
got to get
haven't.
on them if you have.
I haven't,
Oh,
kid.
they're so comfy. They're the most comfortable socks I've ever had, and they're made of merino wool, so they don't get stinky. It's beautiful.
Okay, we'll have to jump on that wagon there. Um,
Yeah.
we'll get things going here, but before we start, I gotta drop some unfortunate news as this terribly sad song plays in the background. The end of an era. My dynasty team has lost in the semifinals, and we'll get into it a little bit here. But it's funny because it's not just me that's upset. There's a lot of people who are really hoping for a full reset. So there was either our league was split. I would say half the league was like, no, screw you, Jordan, screw your team, and then their half was like, Jordan, please win because we want to reset and we want to switch platforms. We want to, get a new startup draft going, all this other stuff. And if you follow us on Twitter a little bit, you would have seen a little bit of it. But one of our league mates, Drew, he has his own podcast too, a very successful fantasy football podcast. So you don't follow him, especially on Twitter. A lot of analytic stuff right there. Bulletproof Fantasy. You'll be able to find him on there. He also has personal Twitter. You'll be able to find Drew there. We were playing each other in the semifinals, and me and Drew have had a good rivalry going for as many years as I've been in the league. And Drew beat me. He put out a little hex on me. He put up some bad juju, and he was hexing my team. And for all those at home, when you get hex like that and you're the heavy underdog, you know what happens. And I got Amari Coopered. I got Justin Jefferson. I got T. Higgins. I got like all of the above. And like in our league, Armin, like I would say like if you get over 100, like 110 is like a really good score in our league. Like that's a
Yeah,
really,
that's a
really
good
good
week.
score.
Yeah.
My average is 146 points. So like I got a good team. And he scored 100, I think it was 156. I don't have the exact numbers here. I can try and get it up quick.
158. I'm looking at it right now.
Thank you. And,
158.64.
and so I was going into the Christmas Day Monday. He had Jalen Hurts. I had Kelsey, CMC, and AJ Brown left. And then I made a late pivot to swap AJ Brown for Saquon Barkley as like a desperation, hoping that Hurts really sucks and then Saquon's really good. And it turned out to be good. Like obviously Saquon got more points than AJ Brown, and I think there was like a difference of like 1.2 points between Hurts and Saquon. So it kept me alive. And Kelsey sucked, so I needed 42 points. I think it ended up being from CMC, which in the first half I think he had like 19.6 or like right around the 20
Oh
mark. So I
man,
was like,
I
you know
was
what, like
worried after he got that big rumble and then scored a TD. I was like, oh no, Jordan might actually come out in this
yeah,
one.
I would you know what, I had given up many a points throughout the week, many times, and then I just kept get that little wishful hope. But some of my big guys, Cooper Cup dropping 2 in the end zone, Kelsey stinking, it just was like, okay, this is meant to be. But I still had a good week. Like I had 136 points or something like that. It's just that he
Yeah,
had a monster week. He had 158, which or 154, whatever it was, Armin, that you mentioned. Like that's a really, really good
yeah.
week. Like I'm gonna look
Even
at his
James
team.
Conner put up almost 20 points for him.
Yeah, and like how about Javonte Williams? He gets that opening touchdown and then gets negative yards after that. So it was just like everything
Oh,
that could go wrong went wrong. I was sitting in midnight mass. I get out of midnight mass and find out Javonte Williams gets a touchdown. I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, is this real life? Like everything that's going wrong is going wrong. It was just the worst. But yeah, he had Jalen Hurts for 20 points, James Conner for 20 points, Javonte Williams for 9, Amari Cooper for 46. That was a real dagger. And then Chris Godwin just got like he was doing nothing, and then all of a sudden he kind of just got pepper with some targets late in the game, and yeah, that sucked. T. Higgins, that big monster 90-yard touchdown, that sucked. Justin Jefferson against the Detroit Lions secondary, that hurt me in many different ways, but I mean, hey, division champs, so I can't complain too much. And then DJ Moore getting hurt was like got super lucky. So he was limited to only 3 receptions. And then Sam Laporta didn't do much in that Minnesota game too. So, but he had 158, which is I think the 3rd highest points this year in our league. So a really good week. So tip the cap to him. I said, if I'm going to go down, I might as well go down swinging. But I was looking even at my team, like if I would have swapped Henry out for Jonathan Taylor, that gives me an extra 10 points. But it just doesn't matter. Like when your quarterback only gets 12 points, yeah, that's not going to help. So there wasn't too many ways
yeah.
I could have cut this where I would have been able to win. So unfortunately, that's just the way she goes. So league continues. I'm sitting here crying by myself in my dynasty league because that's that's my league. I commission it. It's my favorite league. It's the league I've had the most success in. But so is life. Still in one league left. In Armin's league there, I had a big win, so I'm in that one. A couple charity leagues where I'm in the, it's like a best ball, so there's a lot of people in the final, so that doesn't really matter all that much, but still alive in one league. Armin, what about yourself? Are you still? I'm all done. I'll stop crying about my dynasty league here and boring everybody, but are you still alive in your leagues?
Well, put on some celebration music here.
Okay, let's see if I got something for you, Armin here. Hold on. There you go.
Thank you. I'll sign autographs after.
There we go.
No, I'm celebrating your loss, Jordan, because you know
Oh
what?
yeah, well that's
In that
why did I put
dynasty
them?
league, that puts me in a position to have the 101. I think I got a shot at it.
Marvin
Jordan, you gotta
Harrison.
you gotta let me know, man, where I'm sitting in that. And
Yeah.
then I think I just won the 111 as well in my matchup this week. So I have the 101. I got the extra first round draft pick in Dynasty due to a rising Dynasty team that I have. And I think I'm hope I don't jinx it here, but I should be a favorite moving into next year in this league. At least a contender. Maybe not a favorite. I'll say contender. I'm a contender in this league finally, which I've been building and building, and that's why I so badly did not want Jordan to reset. Is I was so close to breaking through after making some dumb trades right when I started playing Dynasty. to finally rebuild and have a team that I can compete with is amazing. Is an amazing feeling for next year.
Well, I'll tell you, Armin, you're up
Um,
20 points in the race for 101. So as long as you don't get beat by 20 points this next week, you should have the 101.
who's behind me?
Uh, that is Lucas's pick, but actually that pick belongs to Drew.
But it's Lucas I have to beat by 20 points.
Correct.
Or he has to beat me by 20 points.
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect.
And then nobody else, like everybody else, is 100 or more points behind you. So you're
Oh
sitting
yeah.
in a good spot.
Yeah. See, that tells you how close my team is to being a contender, man. I'm just destroying these bottom teams, even though I was eliminated near the end of the season.
I was just we
And
talked about in the past. I was like, I wish Zach would have beat Drew. I talked on the last pod. Now I really,
yeah.
really wish Zach would have beat Drew because I would have been in the finals. But oh man, what a nightmare. Anyways,
Yeah. And then with my other leagues, I made it through to the final in half of my redraft. So last week I was still alive in all mine, so I lost half of them. But you know what? It's still a good feeling to know that in three leagues I still got a chance of winning. One of the ones I got eliminated in, I'm in the third place game with a chance to get my money back at least. So there's that. But oh man, I'll start with the ugly here. My staff league. I had the worst injury luck imaginable this week. I had a bunch of questionable tags leading up to the games. And so Pittman was one of them who was in and then out all of a sudden. So like when he got cleared from concussion protocol, I was like, perfect. I don't need to worry about picking anyone up. I'm good here. He goes down. Then Jaden Reed not playing this week. Suddenly is out. Stevenson, who's been questionable for a while, goes out. And so then I'm riding with guys like Palmer and then McBride in my flex spot. And I'm like, ooh, this is going to be tough. But at least I got a chance here. I still had a chance because I got like Eckler, Metcalf. I had to play Collins even though I didn't want to. A Stroud out. But I thought maybe he could go off a little bit, being the only good receiver left in that city there. And then I got Hawkinson as well. So I was like, maybe I can pull it out. And then Hawkinson goes down partway through the game after he heats up so well, like beginning of the third quarter there goes down. And my kicker, I lost my kicker, Jordan, partway through the game. I have
hey,
Cleveland's kicker and he
you're
went
you're
out.
pro you're a pro kicker guy too. So I mean, suck on that.
Yeah. Tackling somebody of all things, not even doing his job. It
Yeah,
was a bad return, and he had to tackle a guy and pulled his hammy. So then I
yeah.
had no kicker. He only put up 2 points. So worst injury luck for me. I was down to bare bones there, and the guy I was playing, kudos to him. He won it, but I made it to the final in both our podcast leagues, our DFS one. I made it to the final. I was the top point getter this week, so I was pretty proud of that. Zay Flowers touchdown put me over the top. And then our charity league, I'm in the final for that, which I'm pretty excited about. I'm playing against a buddy of mine that plays rugby used to play rugby with me, now against me because he lives in
Good old
Saskatoon.
a
So,
good old Battleford boy too.
oh yeah, there we go. So.
BCHS represent Vikings, baby.
So I'm excited about that. We put a little wager on the final here. Whoever wins gets to be referred to as the better rugby player, which I'm happy about because he's a pretty athletic guy, and I don't think anyone would say I'm the better rugby player than him.
Yeah, that one's gonna cut
So
deep. Like that's way better than the JSN jersey you're actually gonna win. That one cuts deep.
yeah, exactly. So hopefully I pull it out, and then in a super flex league that it's in its third year, and every year I'm distracted because it ends up being on the same draft day as a different draft. And I usually am in the toilet in that one. I broke through this year and I'm in the final, so I'm excited about that one because that's a bunch of guys that I was in university with. So hopefully I can put it to them and be able to have a little bit of bragging rights here.
Absolutely. Well, if you're listening at home and you're in the championship too, good luck. Like there's not even just championships too. Like me and Armin have both mentioned, like I'm in the finals for getting another first round pick. Was in the finals for a first round pick this past week. So depending on what your league is, there could be still some meaningful games. Whether in a third place game, it's still a chance at winning money. It's not the the championship, but third place often either wins their money back or a little bit extra. So good luck to you if you're still in your matchups. And I guess we'll get into it here. So we'll start with our quick question, and then we'll get into a little bit of our actual, like I guess the meat and potatoes of the episode.
Time to find out.
So question of the day, we're coming to the last week of fantasy. So who is somebody that was your best draft pick you made? And I mean, it's easy to say, oh, I took CMC the 104. Like, yeah, obviously you're hoping your first round pick is your best player, but we're looking for like the best value, somebody that you took later in the drafts that really just solidified your team moving forward and was a stalwart on your starting roster. So Armin, why don't you start this one off?
All right. So I put two names down because the first one, it wasn't actually a draft pick. I got him off waivers in a dynasty and a redraft, so I felt it wasn't fair to have him as my only one. And that's Kyron Williams, the running back for the LA Rams. I got him in a dynasty and a redraft. Like I said, the dynasty I'm super excited about. He's doing great things for me already. He's the reason why, or part of the reason why I could be a contender next year, and I'm getting the 101 in that league. So yeah, Kyron Williams, huge waiver wire pickup for me. And probably a lot of people this season, because I don't think he really got drafted at all because nobody knew who was going to be the running back there. And if anyone was putting draft picks out on it, it was Cam Akers near the end of their drafts. And then the guy that was actually a draft pick for me would be Nico Collins. He right now is a wide receiver 16 on the season. He's missed 2 games in the season. So if he played those 2 games, who knows? Maybe he ends up being a wide receiver 1. But he is one of the best wide receiver 2s that you could have in Dynasty right now. And I got him in a 14-team draft. So let that sink in. So round 7, pick number 11. It's pretty late in the draft. That's 109th overall is where I picked him. And you know what, like that's kind of where he was going. But I was very happy that I was able to take advantage of that, and I got him there, and then I got him off the waivers in a different league.
Yeah, especially when you keep in mind like the 14 team league, that's very, very good value. My name I'm going to talk about is Mike Evans. And Mike Evans was a forgotten name because he had such a bad year last year, except for in the championships where he just went nuclear for a lot of teams. So his draft capital was super, super late, even though he's always had 1,000-yard receiving season, always, every year. Every year his entire career has been 1,000 yards. So the one league was a keeper league. So keep in mind, like some of those really, really good players are like 13th, 14th round picks because that's where you drafted them a couple of years back, right? So a lot of the players get pushed up the draft board. So I got him late 6th, which was like a really good value in a keeper league. And then another league I got him was a late 9th, which was just a standard redraft league. So a late 9th round pick for Mike Evans. And he's currently the wide receiver 3 with 231 receiving yards, or sorry, 231 fantasy points. Sorry. He's having an unbelievable year. The only receivers he's behind currently is CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill, which Tyreek Hill was like a top, I don't know what, 6 pick, top 7 pick. And then CeeDee Lamb was probably a top 10, top 12 pick, both first round picks. And then you're getting Mike Evans in the 9th round. That's pretty good value for a guy that finished wide receiver 3. And unfortunately, the one league I kept him, the other league I dealt him. So I've only got to, reap the rewards in the one league. The other league I package deal and got some other assets that benefited my team because I was so deep at wide receiver, but I haven't got to reap the rewards of that wide receiver 3 season in that one league. But he's been unbelievable, especially with the resurgence of Baker Mayfield at quarterback for them. So that's been a fun pick and definitely one that's been paying off the best for my team. Okay.
Yeah,
Stetson. Sorry, go ahead, Arm.
I was going to say that is an incredible pick, man. That kudos to you to sticking with Mike Evans with Baker Mayfield there, because writing on the wall tells us that, like, yeah, we should have trusted Baker a little bit more than we did, especially when he had that many receiving options with him. Another Tampa Bay guy that I noticed that you got is you have Rashad White as a keeper in the 12th round, man.
Yes, sir. That's locked. I have two for sure locked in keeper picks next year, and I have like 4 other ones that are gonna be a super hard decision where it's like, oh man, like who do I keep? I think I have my 3. Like I have Amari for 1 more year, so that's probably a lock in the 6th. I think I have him, and then I have Jonathan Taylor in the 4th, 3rd or 4th. I think I can't remember. So to me, that's a lock, and then Rashad White in the 12th. But then I still have like guys like Jalen Waddle. I have guys like I have lots of players where it's like, stuff can happen in the offseason, so I can't really lock those in yet. But
yeah,
hopefully I win that league and I set myself up for some success next year too.
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyways, go get in studs and duds. Okay, the insiders and headliners. There's not a whole lot to talk about. We mentioned the TJ Hawkinson injury already. A couple other ones, Jalen Waddle, high ankle sprain. So that one's a little bit different, but not a whole lot to talk about here. So we might as well get right into studs and duds and then our starts and sits and call it an episode here. So you might as well start. Let's rip the Band-Aid off, Armin. I'm just going to plug my ears in frustration as you share your stud of the week.
All right, I put 2 studs of the week, but I know who you're referring to.
I know
here.
you did.
It's Amari Cooper with 48 half-point PPR points. Yeah, man, he went off, and it's hard not to put him as a stud of the week, especially when like he hasn't done a lot since he's gone to Cleveland. He's had a few decent weeks, but this is the first time he's really gone off like true vintage Amari Cooper.
He broke the record for the most yards in a game as a Cleveland Brown. Josh Gordon previously had it at like 265 and he got 267 or something like that. Like if he didn't even get a touchdown, just yardage alone, he got 26 fantasy points. Like, I hate you, Amari Cooper, with every being of my body. every being. Like, you ruined Christmas, Amari Cooper. Like, he's the Grinch. He's the Grinch. He stole Christmas. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. That's it.
And then my other stud of the week is Breece Hall, wide receiver 1 for the New York Jets. It seems like, hey, man.
Well,
like, holy crap.
Check down. It's gonna be the same too because Zach Wilson's been already listed as out for Thursday. So I mean, it's gonna be the same song and dance.
Hey, I mean, it's working for him. They won the game, and Breece Hall is explosive. He might as well get the ball in his hand. But man, he gets so many
He's their
touches.
best player.
He had 12 receptions, and then how many carries did he have? 20. He had 32 touches in that game. He put up 32.1 half-point fantasy points, 37 in full-point PPR, which is wild. So yeah, Breece Hall, man, like, and they were efficient touches. Like, he had 4.75 yards per carry, and he averaged 8 yards per catch on those checkdowns. Like, not super efficient, but efficient for a running back yet, So, man, Breece Hall, he is an athlete. He is a really good running back that can do everything, and he has that breakaway speed, and he's starting to show it again finally. So I'm excited for him next year, and he's going to be a guy that I'm drafting next year for sure.
Yeah,
even though I have him in 2 leagues already.
He'd be a good little keeper because I think a lot of people got him later because of the injury and whatnot, and you're getting Rodgers back next year. So I think he's going to be a nice little sneaky pick. But my 2 studs, maybe not necessarily the 2 like higher end guys on the week. Like if you look at one of them, he was the wide receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the week. So I mean, all things considered, there's definitely some guys that finished higher than him. And then my other guy would be RB 3 on the week. So I mean, that's a little bit better. But when you look at the wide receiver stats, okay, but I got to put them both in there because their tandem work together helped clinch my guys the division for the first time in 30 years. I've never been alive for a division title for the Detroit Lions. So I got to witness my first one. My son 1 for 1. He's never been a loser. He's a winner, first year ever. The Lions won the NFC North for the first time ever. It's been awesome. It's been fun. It's been a wild ride. I've been really enjoying this season. And two guys that helped get it done was Amari St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs. And right now, Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, is like a dark horse. I put a bet on him a while back, but he's a dark horse to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Like if you look at like CJ Stroud, what he's done, he's definitely the front runner, but he's missed 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
So with 2 weeks left in the fantasy season, I guess technically 3, including, 2, 17 and 18. So depending on if he plays again, who knows? He might play again and he might be terrible. He might play again and go right back where he was. And I think he's still a front runner. But Jahmyr Gibbs right now is like number 2 or number 3. Nakua, I think, is right there with him. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But he's been nothing but spectacular this season. Like, so looking at Amari St. Brown, he had a great day, 14 targets, 12 receptions, 106 yards, and 1 touchdown. Great. But you look at what Jahmyr Gibbs did. He had a fumble, and he still put up 22 fantasy points. He had 15 carries for 80 yards. Great. 2 tutties. Awesome. Then he had 4 receptions on 7 targets and 20 yards. Like, usually he gets a lot of it done through the air, but he was super great on the ground. And he's showing why he was a first-round talent. Not only a first-round, a top 15 first-round talent. He's going to be a guy that'll be high up on draft boards next year in fantasy drafts. Sorry, go ahead, Armor.
At least he's being used properly too. Got to give Detroit that. Like, they're using him properly, unlike the other RB that was drafted in the first round.
Yeah. Oh man, don't even me started on Atlanta. That's got to be like, if you were a Bijan drafter or dynasty for sure, that's got to be the most frustrating situation ever. Like, not even just for Bijan. Think about like Drake London. Think about Kyle Pitts. Think about like it's just incredibly frustrating if you're fantasy manager of any sort of Atlanta player other than like Tyler Algier, I guess. Like, I don't know. It's ridiculous. But, duds. Let's do duds quick, and then we'll get into starts and sits, and we can enjoy the rest of our holiday break here, Armin.
All right. Dud of the week for me. He was primed for a good week this week, and then just nothing happened, and that's DJ Moore. He put up 3 receptions for 18 yards. So in half-point PPR, he only had 3.3 points. But the league that I really needed him to do well in was a standard league with no PPR points. So he only put up 1.8 points. And you know what? Like, Arizona, it may be an all right secondary and defense, but like, man, you got to be able to put up points against Arizona a little bit, right? Like, you can't have that big of a dud, especially with the impact that it had. So I had DJ Moore in 2 leagues. One, it cost me a lot more than the other, but I still did really badly in the other league as well, and didn't make it through. And you know what? I'm putting it all on DJ Moore because those are the 2 redrafts that I didn't make it through, underperforming immensely.
Yeah. And just because of the expectations, he was going to be so good. But he did get rolled up on the first play, so I'll give him that. But I mean, it still sucked because he was primed. He was primed and ready for a huge game. Speaking of huge disappointments, my dud, Travis Kelce. I needed him in the worst way. He's been so disappointing this season. He only got 4 touchdowns all year. But if you watch that game on Christmas, that was just like, what happened? The Vegas Raiders didn't complete a completed pass since the first quarter, and they won 20-14. They completed 0 passes after the first quarter. Like, that is so absurd. And we talked about this in the pod lots. They need a stud wide receiver. They need somebody to help create separation so then they can hit those under routes with some of their other wide receivers and Travis Kelce. We've been talking about this forever. But he's been so bad. 5 for 7 for 44. He finished as the tight end 24, I think it was. 24, 25. I lost count. Regardless, like, when you needed
that's
him,
got to be the lowest he's been in a long time.
When you needed him the most, like, so for Travis Kelce finished lower than TJ Hawkinson, who left halfway through the game with an injury. Like, that's how frustrating that was. But he's still, which is bizarre to me, he's still tight end 3. He is tight end number 3 with the most disappointing season we've ever seen from Travis Kelce, where he's played the whole year. 90 receptions, 117 targets, 968 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That's what he's got all seasons, 5 touchdowns. But like, he's not going to finish the tight end 1. Like, to me, like, Sam Laporte is ahead of him, Hawkinson's ahead of him, but obviously he's out for the year. George Kittle, I'm assuming is going to catch him because San Francisco is in like an absolute slugfest right now to finish as the one. Even like David Njoku very well could finish in front of him. Like I don't know if this is the beginning of the end. Like I think Travis Kelce is going to fly down draft boards next year because of how disappointing it's been this year. But also at the same time, like there's 6 or 7 reliable tight ends you could take next year. So like you don't have to burn that early pick with Kelce. But if they pick up like a star wide receiver in free agency, then maybe we're regrouping in this conversation. But I've been incredibly disappointed with Travis Kelce this season. And I know for a fact I'm not the only one. So there's my dud of the week.
Even Evan Ingram could catch up to him.
Oh, for sure, especially with the depleted wide receiver core they've got right now. So I mean, anything can happen. Yeah. It's Christmas season, which means it is also the Boxing Week sale as well for a lot of companies. Now, if you check on 22fresh.com, they got some unreal stuff. I know the product is unreal. Been talking about it forever. Not everything is on the Black Friday sale. So if you find something that you really want and wish, oh man, I wish this was on sale. Hey, check it out. 306 FFB15 promo code. Even if it's not on the Black Friday sale, you can still, or not Black Friday, sorry, the Boxing Day sale, you can still get 15% off all merchandise on checkout. So if there's that one thing that you say, oh man, I wish it's on sale, don't worry, we got your back. We got 15% off free on checkout using promo code 306 FFB15. So thank you very much, 22 Fresh, for being our major sponsor of the 2023 fantasy football season. Okay, our last starts and sits of the week for the 2023 fantasy season, Armand. Let's finish it off, I guess, with a bang here and hopefully win some people some championships. We'll get you to start this one off.
Yeah. I'm starting with a guy that, like we've talked about before. Hopefully he's a lock and starter for you, but I'm just reminding you that like Jaden Reed is a great football player, and he's playing the Minnesota Vikings this week, which isn't a cushy matchup, but it's a good matchup for him. I think they're a decent defense, but they like to use Jaden Reed in different ways and just get the ball in his hands. And if he's healthy, the injuries this week that made him sit out were 2 minor injuries. So I think he just needed a rest week, and he'll be good to go this week. So don't be afraid to play him because he was injured. And definitely play him in your fantasy championship, because if you got him, he's probably the reason why you made the playoffs. He was a waiver wire pick, and he's just been doing really good things, and has been a solid wide receiver that you can start week in and week out since he kind of broke out. And don't be afraid to start him. And if you haven't been starting him, what are you doing, man? Like you must have the deepest wide receiver core, because he's been pretty good.
Yeah, him missing this past week was a dagger for a lot of people because I think they rode him into the semifinal matchups. But my start of the week is a tough one because I really don't want them to do good, because right now the Lions are in a push for not only the second, but also the first spot and the bye week in the NFC right now. But if you've been paying attention to the statistics, you've been paying attention to the box scores, you've been paying attention to any of the games, Detroit has struggled immensely in their secondary against wide receivers. They are possibly getting Gardner Johnson back this week, so that will definitely help them in that situation. But CD Lamb is going to smash. Like he's going to have a huge week, just like last week. Justin Jefferson had a huge week, but also the other auxiliary wide receivers had really good weeks. Jordan Addison, not so much. But help me out. What's his name there? Armand Osborne, right?
Osborne.
Yeah, he had a great week, like a really good week. I think
and
that
Hawk
this
was
is
going off.
Yeah, I think this is a situation where Brandon Cooks is going to have a good week as well too. Like I want as many wide receiver options in this offense just because they give up so much. I think this is going to be a very high scoring game. They have two I would say solid defenses all around, especially because the Lions are so good against the run game. So Pollard, that's a bad play. That's a really bad play. But Brandon Cooks, CD Lamb, even Jake Ferguson at tight end, I think those are really good plays. And Dak Prescott might be the quarterback one on the week. This is a game that I've got circled for a while. This is gonna be a fun game, and this is gonna be a huge indicator to Detroit getting the second or first spot in the NFC. So that's a fun game
for both these teams. The first spot is on the line, so neither team's going to be pulling their punches.
Yeah, Dallas needs to win the division. Like if they lose that game, there's no chance they can win the division. So it's going to be a good one. Sits of the week, Armand. I wish we could have had this recommendation last week, but here we are.
Yeah, you know what? Hot off this huge game here, I'm going to Amari Cooper. Not because I think he's due to have a bad game, but because he's going up against the New York Jets, and they just watched him torch another team. So there's no way that the New York Jets and their game plan this week and their prep leading up to this game are going to not be keen in on Amari Cooper. Um, Probably leading into this week, teams are looking at how well Njoku is doing and saying, let's lock him down. And if Amari Cooper beats us, he beats us kind of thing. But now they see, oh, yeah, he is still good. He is still a deep threat. He still can put up huge yardages. If I was the New York Jets, and especially seeing as you got Sauce Gardner, you might as well have him on Amari Cooper. And then you let Njoku get a few catches, and you make sure that you just rally to him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think this might be a Njoku day for sure.
Yeah.
My sit is against the New Orleans Saints, who are the number 2 defenses against wide receivers, only giving up 17 fantasy points per game. So they're playing Tampa Bay. I'm not sitting Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is still going to get his. The last time they played, I think he had 6 receptions with a deep touchdown. He might have had 2 in that week, and I can't remember off the top of my head. But I do not want to play Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin has not been good this year. He, half point PPR'd himself to a half decent week last week. I think he was 6 receptions for 65 yards, give or take. But this is not a matchup where I want to get that. It's going to be one wide receiver is going to be great, and the other is not going to be great. Look what happened with the Rams. The Rams smacked him around. That's the most wide receiver points they've given up in a while, but it was a Puka Nacua day. Cooper Kupp did almost nearly nothing. I think he ended up getting 5 receptions for 40 yards or something like that to 7 points. That was his day. Cooper Kupp had a really poor week, but Puka Nacua was awesome. So I'm projecting that Mike Evans would have a really, really good week. And that obviously means that Chris Godwin, not so much. So that's where I'm at. If Chris Godwin goes great, then that probably means Mike Evans had a bad week, but I'm playing the matchup. I'm playing the wide receiver 3. I'm not sitting the wide receiver 3 on the season. So that's where I'm at with that start. So, and they're very good against the run too. So I'm gonna see Baker probably airing it out a little more than they need to. So anyhow, that is going to do it for the episode here. Anything to quickly throw in here before we run out of time on our recording, Armand?
Hey everyone, let's have some fun in the last week here. It's the finals, baby. Just have fun with it. Go for gold. Play your guys. Take big shots. Take big swings. Yeah, I'm excited. Last year at this time, I wasn't in a single final. This year, I'm in 3. I'm excited.
Absolutely. And Sunday, the fantasy season will be on New Year's Eve. So if you're out there, remember, enjoy responsibly, get a safe ride home, all those fun things. Enjoy the fantasy, enjoy the New Year's, and good luck in your fantasy championships, everybody. Take care, and let's talk soon.